Well, a fire broke out Monday afternoon on the June Lake Loop. It's called the Grant Fire. At last report this morning from the United States Forest Service, 400 acres, 15% contained. Now, the change in the acreage from yesterday's about 370 acres due to better mapping. Fire behavior was minimal overnight. Now, today, crews were trying to improve existing containment lines and continue direct line construction to secure the south flank closest to the June Lake community, as well as the eastern flank closest to Highway 158. Minimum impact suppression tactics will be used where the fire is spread into the wilderness. Press release notes crews plan to tie into natural barriers to contain the fire in remote and steep locations. We've got the unseasonably hot temperatures, potential for afternoon thunderstorms. Press release notes that could lead to erratic gusty winds, bring additional lightning throughout the forest, and that does remain a concern for today and the firefighters. Highway 158 is closed between mile marker 8 and 9. You're asked to avoid the area to assist the fire crews in their response. The Parker Bench Trail between the Parker Lake Trailhead and Rush Creek Trailhead is closed. Parker Lake and Rush Creek trails remain open. Visitors, you should be prepared for some smoky conditions. No evacuations are in place at this time. Also expect smoke from this fire to settle in June Lake at night under the inversion and for smoke to lift and disperse in the afternoon. At last report, 9 engines, 4 crews, 3 helicopters, 3 air tankers assigned to the Grant Fire. Again, on Highway 158, west of 158, between Silver and Grant Lakes on the June Lake Loop. Fire appears to be lightning caused that started the evening of July 31st. Well, also on Monday, the Bishop Police Department was contacted by management from JCPenney, located at 201 South Main Street in Bishop. This was to report an embezzlement by an employee. Now, Bishop Police Department officers made contact at JCPenney where the employee was already being detained by staff. The employee, the press release notes, was cooperative with the investigation and admitted to stealing over $10,000 in cash from the business over the last several months. Tyler Amasoni, age 23, of Big Pine, arrested, transported to the Inyo County Jail in Independence. He was booked for embezzlement of over $950. That's a felony, also violation of probation. Investigation continuing. Anyone with additional information encouraged to contact the Bishop Police Department at 760-873-5866. Well, Deb Murphy filed this story for Sierra Wave Media, noting that on July 14th, 4 months after the $17.5 million clinic opened, the Toyabe Indian Health Project Board of Directors voted to suspend Chief Executive Officer David Lent, Chief Operations Officer Rick Fry, Chief Financial Officer Mary Daniels, and Human Resources Manager Cindy Cadu without pay for 60 days while an investigation looks into personnel issues. Now, to date, that investigation has not begun, according to board member John Glazer, who said it's politics in a phone interview. He was pointing a finger at board members from the Bishop Paiute tribe, one of 7 tribes within the Toyabe Indian Health Project Eastern Sierra Service Area. Glazer cited mutterings that the lease on the land the clinic was built on wasn't handled in the open, something Glazer denies vehemently. It was all in the open, he said, with the approval of the tribal council. Now, the TIHP board was sent a letter from Cadu's assistant, Geraldine Weaver, maintaining she was not being given the authority to make decisions. The July 14th meeting was called to discuss the complaint. The vote at that initial meeting was 8-4 to suspend the 4 administrators. As chairman, Glazer could not vote. He resigned as chair. A second meeting was called, and the revote was still 7-6. Now, the biggest issue for Glazer is the survival of the clinic, built with a $14 million long-term loan from the United States Department of Agriculture and operated with both state and federal grant funds. Deb Murphy's full story is posted on our website, sierrawave.net. Deb also wrote a story on the Bishop City Council. Recent meeting unanimously approved a value statement one that applauds the city's diversity without spelling out specific diverse groups. Final product was read by Bishop Mayor Joe Pexi and approved by the Bishop City Council at its July 24th meeting. Some abbreviated quotes in there. We value our diversity and endeavor to be inclusive and accepting of everyone from all walks of life. We value our compassion and are welcoming and respectful of our neighbors and our guests. We recognize our differences and strive not to let them divide us, and we value what we have in common and choose to let that unite us. We'll be back with more news.